When I was in high school and for much of college, the path that I had laid out for myself through life was that I was going to become a playwright. That was what the future held for me. I was sure of it. And eventually, I heard the call to ministry and went that way instead. And I can't tell if it speaks well of ministry or poorly of the theater, but I think my bank account and overall well-being are better off that this is the path I took. But I've been thinking lately about the road not taken. I found an old playwriting book, sort of class book from a playwriting seminar I took in college. I was leafing through it and thinking about the hold that theater has on us. And that plays, drama, comedy, or tragedy, are these explorations of our relationships, our motivations, the choices that we make in our lives. And new plays are written all the time, but theater people sure do love staging what they call revivals, which is new ways of setting an old play, right? We love to put Romeo and Juliet in the 1980s on a skateboard. Othello is set in the near future with military officer Denzel Washington and Jake Gyllenhaal as Iago. We wonder what it would be like if we made the musical Oklahoma just like a little bit less problematic, if we just turned the problematic down like 3 degrees. Or if we cast the Thornton Wilder play Our Town with some people who weren't white. And while not quite a revival, far and away the most cognitively dissonant theater production I have ever attended was when I saw the students of the United States Naval Academy in Annapolis, Maryland, put on a production of Cabaret, a show about a nightclub in Berlin in the 1930s, accompanied by a jazz combo composed of uniformed members of the US Navy. Somewhere, someone who was on a stage in lingerie is commanding a nuclear submarine, and I don't know how that makes me feel, I'll be honest. I was like, I think this is okay. Right, and drama has this enduring grip on us because it takes the stories and words and conflicts and foibles, the character of being human, and it shows it back to us with just enough angle to let us laugh or cry without feeling completely indicted. Right? Theater tells the truth, but it tells it slant. You see just enough of yourself up there. Because sometimes we need someone to point out that the script we are using in our own lives is outdated without totally collapsing. Recently, it was my daughter Ada's first ever ballet recital. As she would tell anyone who would listen, I've been waiting my whole life to be on stage. Which meant many joyful things. It was amazing. It's amazing to see your kids do something that they are longing to do, but somebody had to put her hair in a ballerina bun. And if you know what my wife's hair and my hair look like, you will think to yourself, who is putting that child's hair in a ballerina bun? So perhaps it's a comedy of errors, this scene. It's right? So comedy of errors. I cast myself as the reluctant but serviceable dance mom, so I decide I will make the bun. The dress rehearsal night approaches, and we sit down at our kitchen table surrounded by pins and gel and advice from strangers on the internet. I tell myself that her hair is like a wild animal, and that if I show fear, it'll spook. Forging ahead, we get to the end, and I genuinely cannot believe that I have created a very solid ballerina bun. Silently, and perhaps a little too smugly for the universe, I congratulate myself and tell Ada that she looks great. But then my face falls when she looks at me and tells me over and over again that it is too painful, that it hurts to have her hair up in a bun. And so I do what most parents do under stress. I go to my filing cabinet of scripts for a pre-written response that lets me keep things moving along without actually having to address any of the underlying things that are actually happening in the moment. Some of you are here like, this is too indicting. So we open the imaginary file cabinet drawer looking for a script that will let us just get in the car and go to the dress rehearsal. I begin looking. I pull one out mentally, right? And I say, it'll get better soon, inside my own head. No, I don't actually know that. And in our family, we tell the truth, so I cast that script aside. Mentally, I keep churning for another line. The next one comes. Does it really hurt that much? We are working in our family on not minimizing feelings, so we're gonna throw that one out. Okay, here we go. We're spinning. But you look so cute. Oh my God, they just get worse. We spin, right? This is like full tilt panic of like, what do I say? What do I say? What do I say? And in my head, I hear the line, it might hurt, but that's just what ballerinas do. I hope that this is rock bottom in the moment. And instead of being able to produce any sort of useful thing to say to my child, it's like the spinning wheel of death opens on the screen of my brain, letting me know that like nothing's coming. Stop expecting. And in that moment, I know that none of the existing parenting scripts will do. None of the things filed in my brain from my own childhood, from the media I've consumed over the course of my life, nothing is gonna help me in this moment. Because I don't want my daughter to live in a future where she thinks, right, that like suffering for beauty is the ultimate goal. But that's kind of all the scripts that are there. And it can be so powerful to think about the future we want for our children, both the ones we have part in raising and the ones that belong to all of us. But, okay, here's the hard part, right? Which is that thinking about the future used to feel like a hopeful endeavor, didn't it? It was about all the things that were possible. We're gonna go to Mars. What's gonna happen if we stick to our values? We can do it. And now, these days, maybe you are more evolved than I am, but for me, these days, sometimes contemplating the future feels like going down a toxic rabbit hole. What's gonna happen to the climate? What's gonna happen to gay marriage? What's gonna happen to our democracy? Do you have an emergency exit plan? Right, it would not be an exaggeration to say that many of my conversations these days with my queer friends include the question, have you guys thought about a plan? Do you know when and how you'd leave the country? I have learned more than I ever wanted to know about the places that my friends are technically eligible for citizenship to. But being a parent right now, through all of this, means that I am forced every day to imagine a future beyond my lifetime. I am, to paraphrase the poet Khalil Gibran, right, I am sending living arrows forth into a place I will never visit, not even in my dreams. And sometimes that is grueling, to wake up every day in this world and imagine the future for my children that I want. But it's a gift, most of all, to feel tethered to the future, to feel obligated to the world that is unfolding. And you'll notice they say that I feel tethered and I feel obligated to that world that is unfolding, not that I am shaping that world. That is the work of future generations. But I get to send a message there. We get to send a message there. We get to tell the future who we tried to be. We get to tell the future how well we loved one another in the midst of great beauty and great suffering. And that idea That it's not that I am trying to control and shape the future, but rather send a message through our children there, right? Send my love into the unfolding future rather than exercise control over it by exercising control over my children. That flies in the face of every reactionary, authoritarian, white Christian nationalist movement that's in power in our country right now. Right? They want us to be locked in a battle for control over our future and control over our children. Right? But the idea that you can control the future if you just double down and stick to the script, that's false. Anybody who has ever parented knows that whatever control you think you have is an illusion. And whatever control issues you had when you became a parent, it's gonna be tough. I know. Right? And so we do ourselves, as religious liberals, we do ourselves a disservice if we think our role is to just pick the opposing script and stick to it with equal rigidity. Because the truth of what I experienced when faced with my daughter's painful ballerina bun remains. None of the existing scripts will really suffice if I want my child to carry a message into the future that speaks of my highest hopes and values right now. It's not enough to put Romeo and Juliet on skateboards anymore. And so when a script won't do, that means it's time for improv. Improvisation, right? Theater that has no script. And the joy of improvisation is that it can show you something entirely new that you never realized was possible. And the risk of improvisation is that it can go really, really badly. And the hard part about improv is that you can't always tell which of those two is happening until it's too late. Regrettably, this is true about life, really, too. It can be really beautiful and something new will happen, or it can go terribly wrong and you don't always know which is happening. But so for the control freaks among us, you know who you are. We need rules even when we're breaking the mold. So here are some rules from comedian Tina Fey about the 4 rules of improv. They are agree, always agree and say yes to the given situation. Yes, and add something to the scene that builds on the previous statement. Make statements. Don't ask questions or be vague. Be confident and assertive. And finally, there are no mistakes, only opportunities, or happy little accidents, as the painter Bob Ross would say. Embrace the unexpected and use it to your advantage. Got it? Okay, buckle up. We're going to do some improv. No one expects the serious minister to make you do something fun. I have the element of surprise. So I need maybe like 6 or so people to come up and we're going to play an improv game. Okay. So like one more person? You're on the fence? Yes, great. I was like, there's someone from your family who's going to come up here. I can tell. Okay, so we're going to play a game called Fortunately, Unfortunately. And the game Fortunately, Unfortunately, you sort of all have to stand in a line because you're going to pass the microphone down. And in the game Fortunately, Unfortunately, the folks doing the improv, they're going to tell a story. Okay. Don't make me regret this. This is why I'm not fun. Fortunately, and so unfortunately,
You will tell a story, and I'm going to give you the prompt in a moment. You will tell a story, and each person you will alternate between someone starting their sentence of the story. Fortunately, this happened. And then the next person will continue the story with a sentence that begins, unfortunately. Now, I want to remind you that not all of the children have gone to religious exploration this morning. So we are striving for a PG story. Oh, don't boo me because I said we have to keep it PG. Okay, now, so are you ready for the story prompt? Okay, and the best if the microphone is up here. Okay, here's the story prompt. A giraffe comes to religious education this morning.
Fortunately, they are cute.
Unfortunately, the ceilings are not high enough for a giraffe's. It hits his head.
Yeah.
Fortunately, his tongue rehung one of the displays above the front doors.
Unfortunately, he also got saliva all over everybody.
Fortunately, none of us minded, because who's not been licked by a giraffe before?
Unfortunately, it was a community effort to clean it all up.
Okay, all right. Okay. Are you ready for another? Very good. Okay, we're going to do another story. Are you ready to tell another story? Do you want to, I feel like you probably have a more fun prompt, Christina, than I do. No. You don't? Okay. I got nothing. Here we go. Someone replaced all the regular coffee at coffee hour with decaf. This is a horror show. Okay. All the regular coffee has been replaced with decaf. Go.
Fortunately, I don't know.
You can do it. You can do it, Adam.
Fortunately, I do not like caffeine.
Oh, that's good.
Unfortunately, it was bring your own coffee day to the UU.
Fortunately, I bought 2 white monsters this morning.
Unfortunately, the religious education staff forgot their coffee, and they were not able to keep up with the kids.
Oh, no. Yeah.
Fortunately, there's always cookies.
Unfortunately, they are week-old oatmeal raisin.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. You can all return to your seats. Yes. Yes. It may seem silly, but the truth is that sometimes parenting is like that. Right? And the truth is that it's not just parenting. Right? Together, we can let go of the scripts that are not serving us anymore. We can discover something entirely new emerging among us, a giraffe in the RE wing, the community effort to clean up his saliva, the week-old oatmeal raisin cookies, you never know. Any moment of great change is full of releasing and ending and mourning and loss, yes. And it's full of possibilities, too. May we find our way into these possibilities together. May it be so.